if we summarize our previous lecture, then we have solved one problem where we have considered one vertical water tank, and that vertical water tank was considered as a cantilever beam arrangement. And using the concept of transverse vibration, we have derived natural frequency equation as well as natural frequency value for the vertical water tank. We have found time period of oscillation for that vertical water tank. We have also discussed how to find out maximum possible velocity and displacement for given initial maximum possible velocity and acceleration for given initial conditions. So this is what we discussed so far. We have derived governing equation of motion also. Because the initial condition, we have found constants of simple harmonic motion equation. Now, again today we are going to take very simple single degree of freedom system, but there sometimes it's a confusion that the system is 2 degree of freedom, but actually that's a single degree of freedom system, and that system is nothing but simple pendulum. So we are taking example of pendulum today. Now, if you consider pendulum, then there will be a fixed support. This is the pole length or the spring length, and then there is some point mass at the end. Let me call this as the end, and this pole that is having length S. Right? Now, what we are doing, we are assuming that we are giving initial angle theta to this pendulum. So let us assume that we are giving initial angle theta. So we assume we have displaced this pendulum by angle theta, and this is the new position of mass m, right? So if you see what happens as you give initial angle theta, and then after if you release this, then this pendulum will swing with certain frequency or with certain time period. So that is what we are interested. We want to derive natural frequency equation for this pendulum. So let me take, first of all, if you see, I can use here 2 coordinates. For example, suppose this mass is moved by distance coordinate x. I consider one coordinate x such that this mass is moved by x distance. So one coordinate required to represent x direction movement, horizontal displacement of this pendulum, and you also require one another coordinate to represent vertical movement. Let me call that y. So as per degree of freedom definition, degree of freedom is number of independent coordinates required to describe motion or the position of body. That is what called as a degree of freedom. So if you look right now, if I displace this pendulum mass, then I require 2 coordinates, x and y, to represent next position of this mass. I require two coordinates, x and y. Then if two coordinates required, then this should be considered as 2 degree of freedom system, but still it is considered as 1 degree of freedom system. May I ask why? Can you give response, Divyam or Karthik? Why this pendulum is considered as single degree of freedom system while we require x and y coordinates? My question is clear? As
No, sir. Can you
yeah,
repeat the question?
now see, this is the original position of mass earlier without any disturbance. So this is equilibrium position. Now we are giving initial angle theta. Now to define new position of mass, you require x and y, two different coordinates. Here. So if two different coordinates required to define position of mass, then that is called as a 2 degree of freedom system. But still pendulum is considered as a 1 degree of freedom system. Why?
Sir, because it just has one endpoint, like it is uh, attached to the one point over to
Okay.
the top, and it will just move around its axis only.
Okay.
Like,
But 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 I require two coordinates x and y to represent next position of this mass. So if two
Sir,
coordinates required, then yeah.
because its angle of theta inclination is specified by single number only.
Yeah, exactly. See, see, what is the definition of degree of freedom? Degree of freedom is defined as number of independent coordinates. Here, while here if you see this x and y, they are dependent coordinates based on theta. Here, this x and y, they are dependent coordinates. They are not independent coordinates. Because if you see, if I call this as a L, this is L, then for theta movement, see, uh, suppose if I want to find what is y, if it is displaced by this much of height, initially it was L. Now, if I give initial disturbance and now if I project this on vertical line, then this distance, let me indicate it by different color to give you a proper idea. If you look, when I swing this mass, then it moves in x direction as well as in y direction. So in y direction it is moved by y distance, but so how much this y movement? So for that initial length is L, and now this length, from initial length if I subtract this length, projected length, then I get this y. So let's do that. How much this distance after deflection? Because this is the right angle triangle now. If I call this as a O, this point, new point as O dash, this hinge point that is as a P, and this projected point that is suppose I am defining as A. Then we have a right angle triangle PAO dash. I need to find out what is the length of PA line. So line PA can be find out based on the cos angle. Cos is equals to hypotenuse divided by PA, right? Okay. So cos theta is equals to this hypotenuse, which is because this is original length of string. So that is L, right? Sorry, first we need to take nearby side, which is this one, CA. Let me write here, sine that cos theta is equal to near side, that is CA, divided by this hypotenuse, which is CO dash. Let me write CO dash, right? Now I'm interested to find out CA. So CA is equal to CO dash. So CO dash is what? It's the original length L. So L cos theta, right? So this is CA. Now to find out AO, because AO is representing vertical movement of this box, then AO is equal to CO minus CA, right? Now how much CO? CO is again original length, so L minus CA is L cos theta. So I can say AO, which is Y, vertical movement of pendulum. When I take L common, then 1 minus cos theta, right? So this is for Y movement of this mass. Now for X movement of mass, I need to find out AO dash. So for AO dash, now I will consider sine theta. So sine theta is equal to AO dash divided by hypotenuse CO dash. Right? Now AO dash, which is AO dash, is equal to CO dash sine theta. Now CO dash is how much? CO dash, that is original length, so that is L sine theta. And what is AO dash? That is representing this X displacement. If you look, this is equation of X, L sine theta, and this is equation of Y, L 1 minus cos theta. So this X and Y, they are actually dependent coordinates. X and Y, they are dependent coordinates to theta. So they are not independent coordinates, right? So that's why pendulum is considered single degree of freedom, because theta can also define its position. So only one coordinate can also define its position by cylindrical coordinate system. As we are using Cartesian coordinate system, then you require two coordinates. But both these coordinates, they are related. They are not independent. They are dependent coordinates to theta, right? So this is what I wanted to convey first. So that's why this pendulum is generally considered as single degree of freedom system, because theta is a single coordinate which is sufficient to locate position of this pendulum. But if you are using Cartesian coordinate, then yes, you require two coordinates, but both these coordinates, they are dependent to theta. That's why it is called as a single degree of freedom system. Now let us derive natural frequency equation based on Newton's approach first. So let us derive natural frequency equation based on Newton's approach. Right? So what is Newton's approach? We need to consider free body diagram. So again I am just drawing pendulum here one more time. This is suppose theta is equal to 0. No initial displacement is given, so this is called as a mean position. Now we are talking about theta coordinate. So only one coordinate is sufficient. So we are taking theta coordinate to define motion of this pendulum. Now what we are assuming, we are giving initial angle theta. We are giving initial angle theta. Then this is the new position of pendulum. The theta position is given. Now in which direction we are giving motion? In which direction we have disturbed this pendulum? Towards right direction. So it is in counterclockwise direction. So as in case of torsional rotor system, we have discussed for linear system, acceleration is defined as m. Acceleration is defined as m x double dot. In case of rotating system, m is replaced by I, mass moment of inertia, and x is replaced by theta coordinate. So theta double dot, that is acceleration, angular acceleration. So if I am assuming this mass is, this pendulum is disturbed in counterclockwise direction, then in this direction I need to consider inertial torque, which is I theta double dot, right? In this direction we are giving inertial torque. But what happens is, as you move this up and as you release this, then in this direction, due to gravity, this will try to go down. This will try to go down, right? So some gravity is acting, which I call mg. So in this direction, suppose gravity is actually downward, mg. But if you resolve gravity, let me extend it further. If I extend this line, then this is again theta. So suppose if I resolve this gravity force mg along the axis, along this axis of force of pendulum, then this is called as mg cos theta, because theta angle is given, this is also theta, and perpendicular to this cos, there is one opposite gravitational torque, which is actually trying to move this pendulum downward. So that gravitational torque perpendicular to this axis of force, that is second resolved part of this mg, which is mg sin theta. So let me write here, this is mg sin theta, right? So now, as per Newton's approach, if I draw only box, this is actually free body diagram, this is free body diagram of pendulum, then as per Newton's approach, all the external torque, sum of all the external torque is equal to inertial torque, I theta double dot. So I theta double dot, that is in counterclockwise direction. So from this free body diagram, I theta double dot, that is in counterclockwise direction, and that we are assuming positive. So that means we have considered counterclockwise direction as the positive. And if you look, this mg sin theta is a force, and this force is acting at certain radial distance from this hinge point. And how much the distance is? That is length of this cord. So how much external torque is applicable here? That is mg sin theta, that is force into distance. So distance is small l. So mg sin theta into l is the opposite force to this I theta double dot, and into l, that is opposite torque. Now if you are assuming counterclockwise rotation as a positive, then mg sin theta l, that is in clockwise rotation, in clockwise direction. So I need to consider this as a negative, right? And I can ignore this mg cos theta, because in mg cos theta there is no opposite inertia, right? Because both the line of actions are different. So I'm ignoring this mg cos theta, because we are talking only about this direction. So this is the torque balancing equation as per Newton's second law. So let us write I theta double dot. I'm taking this torque on right side. So I theta double dot plus mg l sin theta is equal to 0. Right? Now, here we are taking one assumption. Our assumption is sin theta is equal to theta. Why this assumption? Because we are assuming this theta is very less. For example, suppose this theta deflection if you consider only 5 degrees. If you assume theta is equal to only 5 degrees, then just find out how much value you are getting. If you convert this theta into radian, then theta 5 degrees, pi by 180. If you convert it into radian, let me show that. If I convert it into radian, then 5 degrees into pi divided by 180, right? Then it comes to 0.09, right? It comes to 0.09. Now, if I consider sine theta and sine 5 degrees, then what I get, let me check, sine 5 degrees. If you look, I'm again getting more or less 0.09, right? So I can assume for small angle, if we are talking about only 5 degree or 10 degree angle, then sine theta can be assumed as a theta, right? So this is our assumption. Means if you take theta is equal to 45 degrees, then this assumption will not work. But if you are talking about small angle deflection, then you can assume sine theta is equal to theta, because more or less you are getting same value at the second decimal place, right? So this is our very important assumption in derivation of natural frequency for pendulum. So now here we are writing I theta double dot plus MGL, and sine theta is taken as theta is equal to 0, right? Now let me form this equation in terms of simple harmonic motion. Then theta double dot is the acceleration, angular acceleration. It is multiplied by I. So let us divide this entire equation by capital I, which is mass moment of inertia of this pendulum. So theta double dot plus, I get here MGL by I. Theta is equal to 0. Now if you compare this with simple harmonic motion equation, then this multiplier of theta, this represents what? It represents omega n square, right? So let us write then, this represents omega n square. So omega n square, the square of natural frequency, which is MGL by I. Now mass moment of inertia for any lump mass or point mass, that is considered as its own mass into its radius or its distance from hinge point, which is L square. This is what mass moment of inertia equation for this pendulum. So ml square. Now here I can write omega n, then square root of this, then that is mgl divided by ml square. I write here ml square, right? Then n cancel out, one L and one another L cancel out. Then final equation of natural frequency is G by L. So this is what natural frequency equation for simple pendulum, omega n is equal to G by L, right? And if I want to write it in form of hertz, then Fn is equal to 1 by 2 pi omega n. Then Fn is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root G by L. So this is what in hertz. You might have learned this equation in basic physics course, right? So this is natural frequency equation for simple pendulum by Newton's approach. So if you look here, natural frequency of pendulum that depends on G and L. It is independent of mass. If you compare spring mass system and pendulum, then spring mass system that depends on stiffness, natural frequency of spring mass system that depends on stiffness and mass, while simple pendulum system natural frequency depends on gravitational constant and length of pendulum, right? So if you are using pendulum on Earth and on Moon, then both same pendulum will be having different natural frequency at both the planets, right? So that is what the effect on natural frequency. Now same equation let us try to derive by energy approach. So we are again assuming same pendulum, but now we go for energy approach. Now pendulum natural frequency derivation, but using energy approach. Right? So again we are assuming one pendulum. Now this is mass m, length is L. Let us give initial angle theta, and this is the new position of the center. So this angle is theta. Again we are assuming small angle approximation. So we are assuming this theta is very small, right? Now, if you are talking about energy approach, then as per energy approach, sum of kinetic energy and potential energy is equal to constant, right? So let us write kinetic energy equation. Means if we have given here this theta initial disturbance, then this is the original position and this is now new position, right? Then what will be the potential energy, because we have given here some height h, right? So we know when we give some initial height from the ground, then always body shows some potential energy. An equation for that potential energy is mg, means weight of that body, into height h, right? This is potential energy equation, right? So now if you see how to find out this height, here let me write now, this is hinge point A, this is center of this mass O. Now initial this pendulum is moved from initial position by angle theta, then new position of this center that I call O dash. If I project this O dash on this line OA, then I get here some point P, suppose, right? Now what I want to find, I want H. So H is nothing but O2P distance. How to find O2P distance? Again same approach, O2A is nothing but L. From O2A, if I subtract A to P, then we can find out what is O2P, which is H here, right? So we have formed here one right angle triangle. So again we go for cos angle approximation. So cos theta, for which triangle? We are talking about ACO dash triangle. Then cos theta is equals to nearest side, that is AP, divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is AO dash. Now AO and AO dash both are same. It's L only, right? So here I can say AP is equal to AO dash cos theta, and AP I can get now AO dash is nothing but L cos theta, right? So once I get AP, then H is nothing but, in this equation, H is equal to OP. How to find O2? Take O to A distance and subtract A to P distance, right? Now, O to A is nothing but length of pendulum, I take L, minus A to P I got from here, that is L cos theta. So I write here, I take L common and write here L is equal to 1 minus cos theta, right? So this is what the height given. Now let us put this H in potential energy equation. So potential energy is equal to mgh. So entire this term mgl 1 minus cos theta. Okay. Now just recall, what is our assumption? We have assumed small angle approximation. So for small angle approximation, our assumption is theta is too small. So for that, I can write cos theta as 1 minus theta square by 2. This I can write here. Again, you can just try, consider theta is equal to 5 degree. For 5 degree, find out cos 5 degree. Write that value. Here 1 minus theta square by 2. So here instead of theta, just put 5 degree in radian and solve it. You will get more or less both the values same. Right? So that's why we can write cos theta is equal to 1 minus theta square by 2. So the same I am writing here. Then potential energy is equal to mgl. Now cos theta is equal to 1 minus theta 1 minus 1 plus theta square by 2. So 1 will cancel out from here, and finally we'll get cos square theta by 2. So this is what the potential energy equation for this pendulum. Similarly, now let us go for kinetic energy equation. So let us write now kinetic energy, because we need to put here. So kinetic energy, that we all know, it's a simple 1 by 2 mv square, right? So 1 half mv square, that is the kinetic energy equation. Now if you consider here mv square, then just correlate this kinetic energy with mass moment of inertia. This is for linear system, but we are talking about rotating system. Then for rotating system, it's an analogy. Kinetic energy is mass is replaced by mass moment of inertia I, and velocity is replaced. Means if you consider velocity is x dot, then x is considered as theta dot square, right? Now as we have seen earlier, this mass moment of inertia for spring, this pendulum is m l square. M is mass of this box and L is length of pendulum, right? So this is what we got kinetic energy equation for pendulum. Now simply I need to put this kinetic energy equation and this potential energy equation both in energy approach equation. Then now kinetic energy is 1 half m l square theta dot square plus, now potential energy equation is 1 half mgl Now instead of cos theta square, we are writing here, this is as theta square by 2, right? And this equals to constant. Okay, this equals to constant. Now, what we have done so far in energy approach, now we are differentiating this equation by time. Then 1/2 ml square is constant. Now differentiation of theta square, differentiation of velocity is 2 into velocity, and again differentiation of velocity with time, then acceleration, right? Similarly now, plus this 1/4 mgl. Now theta square differentiation, that is 2 theta, and displacement is again differentiated, then we get angular velocity. So theta dot is equals to constant is 0. Differentiation of constant is 0. Right? Now let us simplify this. 2 to cancel out. This 2 take ml square, this m, let me write here again, this is ml square theta double dot plus, because velocity is common in both the terms, here we have theta dot, here also we have theta dot, so let's take velocity common, then plus 1/2 mgl and theta is equal to velocity common, and that velocity go on right side as a denominator of 0, then that becomes 0, right? Now let us write this in form of simple harmonic motion equation. So theta double dot is equal plus, I just divide this entire equation by ml square, then theta double dot plus 1/2 mgl, as a denominator we get here ml square, and theta is equal to 0. Now if you look here again, this m cancel out, 1 times l and l cancel out. Then finally we get here theta double dot plus g/2l into theta is equal to 0. Now if you compare this with the simple harmonic motion equation, then we have made one mistake here. If you know, this is mgl cos square theta by 2, then there is no 1/2, so let me remove this 1/2. So this 2 to cancel out straight away, so there is no 2 term, it's only g by l. Is it fine? So it's only g by l. Now if you compare this with the simple harmonic motion equation, then this represents omega n square. This is what we have seen earlier by Newton's approach. So we got same natural frequency equation by energy approach. We take square root. So this is in radian per second. For hertz, 1/2 pi square root g by l. If I want time period, then t is nothing but inverse of, sorry, I write here notation f. Then time period is inverse of frequency 1/f. The inverse of this frequency, that is 2 pi square root g by l seconds, and this frequency that is in hertz, right? So this is what the time period natural frequency equation for pendulum using energy approach, right? So we got both the things same. Only we need to concern about this assumption. because this derivation is with this assumption for small angle approximation. If you increase theta beyond 15 to 20 degree, then you may not be able to apply this cos theta is equal to 1 minus theta square by 2. And if you still apply, then you get some error in this value against your practical frequency measured frequency, practically measured frequency or time phase. That is the only issue, right? So this is one assumption. Second assumption is what? We are assuming this mass is moving in single plane only. It is not moving in multiple planes. It is moving only in plane which is shown on this paper, right? So that is again second assumption. So these are few assumptions due to which we can simply find out mutual frequency, right? Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now, if you have any question, any query,